What is up? It's a Figure Hunter, and today we're going to look at the Connect IQ, the Garmin Connect IQ, third-party watch face options and how some of those work. So, since the release of the Garmin Forerunner 965 and 265, both with AMOLED screens, and the 965 with the largest AMOLED screen on any of the Garmin watches, coupled with the fact that there's the Venu and the Venu 2 and the Venu 2 Plus and the Garmin Epix 2, and their big AMOLED screens, I started to realize, especially with the 965 or the 265 release, with some of these new featured watch faces that are built into the watch out of the box, that although some of them were okay, I didn't actually love almost all of them or the majority of them. And I'm just a couple days into testing the 265. And so this video is going to dive into what watch faces in general, what kind of watch faces you can find on the Connect IQ score, how some of them look, what the free ones look like, how you adjust some of the settings on some, and how you adjust some of the settings on others, and some of the paid for watch faces and the Wild West that is there. Because the Connect IQ world, when it comes to payment, is just the Wild West. So hopefully they're going to clean that up at some point. So we're just going to look at sort of the ins and outs, because I think to make the most of the big, bright, new AMOLED screens on the 965, the 265, the Epix, the Venu 2, Venu 2 Plus, you really should look at some of these third-party watch faces, and just wanted to give a simple overview of how the Connect IQ system works and how some of the watch faces look when installed. Sample of what a third-party watch face that's doing a good job taking advantage of the beauty of the screen. It's got this big picture behind it, and if you wait a second, it's going to dim out and it'll show you sort of a first layer of the dimmed down version for always on display, and then it goes to a second, more dim layer. So this is just an example of what kind of quality options you could find on Connect IQ. So with that, let's dive in. So the first thing we're going to look at is just the Connect IQ store. So let's dive in. All right, so just the basic Connect app. So basically you used to go into the watch itself. So you would click on the 265, you go into appearance and you would go straight to the watch face. But now you can't jump into Connect IQ anymore via that method. So you actually have to open the Connect IQ app directly. So once you're here, you could see and make sure if you are coming from an old Garmin device to a new Garmin device, you want to make sure you're installing on the right watch, as well as seeing what apps or watch faces are available for your particular watch that you want to install them on, because there are different sets of options for each different watch. So you would go into my device and you can see, okay, well, this has got the picture of the one I want, or if it had the old watch which it just hasn't selected it yet in Connect IQ, you would go here to choose which watch you want to see options for and which watches you would like to install an app on. So that is always found there, as well as a few other things we'll look at in a second. So there's a few places to find. So I always like to look at hot and fresh apps, which are usually driven by the watch faces. So a lot of these are just going to be watch faces. So you can scroll through these here. It'll get to a bottom and then it'll say, there'll be like a little thinking window before it to go to another. But you can see there's just a lot of options. You'll see in each of these options whether it has a payment button or it doesn't have a payment button. So that's what determines if there's going to be either some settings that you aren't able to use, or that the watch face will eventually shut down after a trial period and you will not be able to use it until you put in a code. So lots of different options there. So hot and fresh, just sort of the trending, popular, and it's most often filled with not apps or data pages, but it's often filled with watch faces. So hot and fresh, you can see the data rich. A lot of people like these, like the data lover is very popular. And anytime you go to install a watch face on your watch, you hit install and it's going to ask you, can I access this permission? You just say allow, and it starts, it's saying it's queued. It used to be that watch faces would take a long time or sort of glitchy in how they actually eventually installed on the watch. But now with the 265, for whatever reason, it's cleaner and it's been more effectively easier to install watch faces. Like boom, when you see this, that means, okay, the watch face has been installed. Used to be it wouldn't happen that quickly. You can see here, you can just go through a long list of all the different data rich watch faces and the different options with them. And then I always like to go, so Simply Amazing's usually got some good simple designs. like that. That looks like a clean watch. But I always tend to go to further down the list. You can obviously see there's third-party apps. There's data fields you could add. There's Geek Chic. I always go down to this other one that I really like downloading from, which is just simply analog watch faces. So you can see just your choice of options when it comes to simple, clean, sort of old school style watch faces. And then, in your device, it would say it's queued. You have something queued, ready to go. Or you can see if you have apps that have been installed. I just have, okay, the Connect IQ is automatically installed, as well as the Spotify app, because that's where I link. This is where you'd see all those types of things. So in the watch faces themselves, you can see your list. And let's talk for a second. Next, we're going to look at how some of them look actually on the watch, how you can adjust some settings within the watch itself, and how you have to go to some settings within the Connect IQ app. So let's take a look at how some of these third-party watch faces actually brighten or make use of the display. All right, so here is just a layering of different samples. So you have this watch face. It looks sort of like the Phoenix. There's the secondary option. So which is the dimmed down option. You can see on this one, it just has apply or do not apply. Don't really love how this one looks, so I'll delete this one forever. This is a cool mirror image of a Coros watch face. You can see that here you just get apply or do not apply. This is sort of an enduro-based one, which I think this one is great because it has a summary of a lot of information, and you can actually adjust the settings. And this just has a ton of settings you could adjust. I mean, it takes some time to really go through the nuances, and only some of the third-party watch face manufacturers or creators actually allow you to adjust in the watch itself. So either way, that's just another one. And I put obviously the names of each on the screen. And here is a more elaborate one. This is just sort of a Coros-like watch face with a big, weather, apply or apply only. There is what the timed out always on display is going to look like, which I actually like. I think that is cool. Here is another one. No adjustment for settings here, but looks a little bit. We'll look at how to adjust settings in the Connect IQ app. There's what the timed out version looks like, which I like as well. Here's another one. So this one's got, the ability to adjust built into it. And originally it came with, it looked like a map, I think. Nope. Coordinates map, yes. So this is what it looked like originally. Nope. Oh, God, I screwed it up. So here's another one. Some of these third parties, they do create slight issue. So we'll go back to where we were. There's the map. So now the map is applied. So the setting caused it just to sort of glitch and shut down the watch face options. Here's another one. Does it have settings? It does have settings, and it does have a laundry list of settings. You can go with it. This is a paid for model. So at some point in time, it might change what options I can have, or maybe there's certain options I can't access. This is a simple model. You don't have any settings here. It could put tick marks. It's just really clean and simple. Here's one that actually did shut down. I did this like last night, downloaded this one, and it doesn't have any options unless you go to pay for the code and enter that code. You'll get something for your watch. This is that one that I showed, which a lot of people seem to like. It looks like your morning report. It's got this pretty weather emblem, and it's got a lot of information. And as far as settings go, you don't get the settings built into it, but still, like, that's a visually cool. Here's one that looks like a Luminix watch, and you can change and adjust these settings. This is a paid for one as well. And there you're back at the top. So there's just a little bit of a glimpse of different types that you could get to make use of the display, to have your own personality sort of built into it, to make the watch look more clean and simple, or more visual with a lot more information, depending on your tastes and your preferences. And we're back to the Garmin. Okay, so a lot of these have settings, and some of the settings actually make it. You can tweak it to where you go into your watches. This is the most common place because, as we saw on each of those faces we just looked at, you can't adjust settings in all of them. So, like, let's take that info cal. So the info cal, it didn't look great. You go into the settings and you can see what options. Some of them, because they're written by third-party writers, they have all this sort of weird information on there. Um, you can see an analog watch face option. You can change different things to add information to the watch face. And you can change the data, where it's coming from, what data you can see. So, like second hour field, you have a laundry list of different things you could add to that second hour field. Some of them will have a more comprehensive list. Some of them will have like more of an old school list, meaning some of them will have body battery in it and some of them won't. So exit without saving, and then that's where you also would uninstall. So here, let's take one of these ones that I think, the luxury pilot. It's a payment required plan, and the settings are really simple and clean. But this is where you would adjust within any of them what types of settings you like to see. So lots of different options. But see here, icons color. Like, let's say you want to adjust that. You just adjust it by some weird numeric change. Super weird. And you just have to kind of play around with it until you get something you like. You can see at the top here, the star rating and the number of times somebody's downloaded it. 52,000 downloads, got a 4.8 rating, and it's obviously a watch face. So you can see information before you download it, if it's got a good star rating or if a lot of people have adjusted it or liked it. Now, looking at some of the pay for options or the payment based options, there's a few nuances to it. And so we're just going to look at a couple of samples of some of this, random third party places you can place payment and how you get your code. And it's just sort of a mess. So we're just going to look at it so that you have an idea of what's out there. Okay, now the dreaded part of Connect IQ and the Wild West. How do you pay for the payment-based option? So you go back into your My Device. Let's say you found one you like, and you think, I want to use this forever, so I want to pay for it. Lord Almighty. So there's just so many weird things. So here you go into it, and it says settings uninstall. So those are the two options. You go into description, and you can see, €3 per watch face. Visit my shop. Payment links for all my watch faces. You're going to go here, and I hate to show you this, but it's going to go to, no, this is a better one. Do not close the PayPal window. So it's like, what am I doing here? So you pay for it, and then you usually get a code. So you have to know the name of each of the watch faces, and you get a code, and you enter that. See if this has instructions, bundles. This guy's got a lot. Now you go back. That's the golfer. Let's go into that pretty weather watch face, because that is a cool looking one. I would say, like, I probably would pay for that. It is glitchy, so each of these third-party watch faces sometimes can add a glitch, like where it doesn't quite sync up with the dimmed version. Doesn't always work. Just oddities, so be prepared for that. So here, so the watch face is $4, $8, or 50 something, 500 something. Tutorial on how to easy pay, tutorial how to buy the license. So let's go support me. Tell us. Okay, so let's just go to, this is Boosty, using the Boosty service. So no, let's not look at that. Let's look at tutorial on how to buy a license, because it says how to pay in that little linked icon. We're going to go here. And then you see strange things like this, like, I just want to buy directly with PayPal. Is that possible? Unfortunately, PayPal does not currently work with Russia. So you can try to pay. It doesn't promise it's going to work. You can use these transfer to cards, cryptocurrencies. It's just sort of like, I don't know how to navigate this. It doesn't say clearly just how to pay. There's still an option to pay with PayPal. You click on use this method, and it's called Boosty. So that's what it wants you to do. It wants you to pay through something called Boosty, a Russian salesperson. I don't see where it's going to give me a code. Okay, so that's that pretty weather face one. Let's see, this Navy SEAL Chrono was also one that is payment related. You go into the description, that's where it's always going to be. Description is always going to have the information. You can see all the things you can adjust it, the pro version, blah, blah, blah. Payment donation for the use this link to pay via Stripe. So you go via Stripe. Okay, this one's a little bit cleaner. You put your email and your credit card information in. I just think, oh man, I don't know what Stripe is. That doesn't seem clear or, I don't know, trustworthy. Say payments via Stripe in the middle here is recommended because you'll get an unlock code immediately on the payment confirmation screen. Okay, let's just say we got our unlock code. So what do we do with that? You go into settings. It's what used to be. We're just going to go through it together because I haven't bought a paid code in a while. And so you're going to look through the settings, pro version unlock code in the middle there. And you're going to click on that setting and you're going to type in the code that you got. Used to be you'd pay somebody over PayPal and in the description you'd list what the name of the watch face was and they would send you a code, or they sometimes would send you an email with a list, one code to access all their apps or all their third parties. So you enter that there, you hit save, and it's going to be like, okay, this person's got the full bang version. It's got, and so you don't have any loss of settings, and you have to enter that code if you've got a new watch. So that's the long explanation for the payment systems that are out there. And last and not least, we're gonna look at actually how you delete some of these. If you try one out, or if it's a paid-based model that actually shuts down after a period of time, I used to delete it from your list so you can be done with it forever. So now you see which ones like you don't want to place a payment for, or you have a payment version and it literally shuts the face down and you can't use it at all, which is different for each third-party watch face, whether you could use it without all the features or you can't use it at all. So you go into your watch, faces, and so this one at the bottom, the InfoCal version 2, I didn't like. So here you just click the uninstall and it's gone. It's not going to be in that list. The only thing that I don't know how to fix is that it is always listed in the bottom. So if you test a bunch of different watch faces, it'll just always be there at the bottom. So like I didn't want this installed, just did this for the video. So I'm just going to go in and uninstall it. And so great, it's no longer going to appear on my list on the watch itself, but it's still listed down here. I wish there was a way I could just make this go away. So like, I know I don't want that. So why do I have to ever see it again? But you can't. That's just the Wild West for Connect IQ right now. And there you have it. So there's a summary of the Garmin Connect IQ, sort of how you approach third-party watch faces and what some of the value can bring and some of the nuances. When I look in summary at it, I just think, number one, Garmin needs to make some of their watch faces, especially on the 965 and the 265, which just all seem sort of soft or non-traditional or sort of, I just don't love the out-of-the-box watch faces exactly. I love the data and I love the clarity of the screen when it comes to the data. It's just precise and it's crisp and it's clear, but I don't love the way the watch faces look in general, and I don't think they offer a broad variety of how they should look. So that's the first thing, is that Garmin should provide a little bit of better options when it comes to out-of-the-box watch faces. And the second thing is that they absolutely need to clean up Connect IQ so that some of these third parties can make money off of their third-party apps and you can just pay through some sort of Garmin system, because going to some random site, it pays in, rubies or whatever, pays a Russian creator like the one we saw, it just doesn't feel comfortable at all. And so it's just a mess in that regard. But at the same time, on the flip side, you can access some good third-party watch faces, and some of them maybe are a little bit, I have gone through the purchase process a number of times through smaller purchases through PayPal, because I feel like PayPal is a trustworthy, easier source. I've gotten my code, I've updated the code, the watch faces work fine. So it functionally can work, but with the wealth of new watch faces or creators that want to create them for us and all the oddball payments they're trying to take over oddball measures, it's just not in a great place right now. So that is it. That's the summary of how to make the best of your new AMOLED watch. I guess maybe I should have said that from the beginning. How to make because you're going to wear your watch, 24 hours a day, because you're going to track your sleep, and you want to have a clear screen. You want it to look kind of the cool way you want it to look and make the most of that new AMOLED design. So with that, it's a Figure Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.